Most animals have a surprising kind of emotional smarts. They just seem to know when another creature is hurting and needs help. This dog came across an injured crow and gently brought it into her crate. At first, everyone thought the poor bird had no chance. But then something amazing happened. Dogs and crows are both incredibly clever in their own ways. Dogs can be loyal protectors and companions, while crows are problem solvers that even know how to use tools. But if someone had asked you before this story whether a dog and a bird could ever be friends, you probably wouldn't think it was likely. In this story, though, we meet a pair who prove otherwise. This unexpected friendship grew between a big Caucasian shepherd named Roxy and a crow named Huck. It all started years ago during a stormy afternoon. The rain was pouring down hard, and the wind howled like it was trying to tear everything apart. No one wanted to be outside, and the streets were nearly empty except for a few cars trying to get home fast. Roxy was in her crate in the backyard. She was a strong, beautiful dog with a bold spirit. But if there was one thing she didn't like, it was the rain. Normally, the second it started pouring, she'd run into her crate and stay there, warm and dry. But this day was different. Something made her break that routine. As she sat there watching the rain soak the yard, she suddenly heard a strange sound. It wasn't something she recognized, more like a cry, sharp and upset. At first, she didn't react, but then the sound came again, and this time she realized it was nearby, just a few feet from her crate. It was the call of a bird in distress. Roxy could tell right away that it wasn't just any bird, it was hurt. And without hesitation, she did something she'd never normally do. She stepped out into the downpour, ignoring her usual dislike for the rain, to see what was wrong. There, just a few steps away, was a small black crow. It looked like its leg was broken, and it was soaked to the bone, crying out in pain. Without wasting a moment, Roxy moved closer, gently picked up the bird in her mouth, and carried it back to her crate. Careful not to hurt him more, Roxy gently pulled the bird back into her crate, making sure he was out of the rain and as safe as possible. She stayed close by for hours, curling up next to him and trying to keep him warm with her body. When the storm finally let up and her owners came outside, they couldn't believe what they saw. There was a crow lying inside the crate with her. At first, they panicked. The bird wasn't moving much, and they feared Roxy might have harmed it. But when she came over to them, clearly anxious and looking back at the crow, they knew something wasn't right. Her owners rushed over and gently checked on the bird. It had a swollen leg and a broken wing, and it was so cold it was barely breathing. They quickly brought it inside and laid it out on the kitchen table. Working together, they treated the bruised leg and wing as best they could, wrapping them carefully in tiny bandages. Then they focused on warming him up. After a while, the bird finally opened his eyes. But he wasn't too happy. The moment he realized he was somewhere unfamiliar, he started flapping and calling out loudly, trying to get away. That's when Roxy calmly walked over. She leaned in, nudged him softly with her head, then rested a paw near him like she was trying to say, "It's okay." At first, the crow was startled by the huge dog, but something about her presence made him settle down a bit. He stopped flailing and began to breathe more slowly. Not long after, the humans offered him a little food, and the crow, still weak but curious, began hobbling around on his injured leg. He moved carefully, only exploring the space right around him, but it was clear he was alert and interested. Watching him, the family decided to give him a name, Huck. Roxy, meanwhile, stayed close and gentle, which was surprising to everyone. She wasn't usually the calm type. Roxy was full of energy and always on the move. Normally, she couldn't sit still for anything, not even her favorite treats. But with Huck, she was different. She seemed to know he needed peace and protection. She even made sure not to bump him, which was impressive, considering her size. Still, the crow wasn't out of danger yet. He was clearly very weak and needed more help. Since the roads were slick again and the rain had started up once more, they called a vet friend who lived nearby. Driving all the way to the animal center in this weather wasn't an option. The vet arrived and took her time examining Huck. She gave him some pain medicine, rewrapped his wing more securely, and applied a soothing cream to his leg. But she didn't sugarcoat it. He was in rough shape. If he didn't get enough warmth and care, he might not survive the night. So the family sprang into action. They made a soft little bed using towels and blankets, placed a heat lamp nearby to keep him warm, and tucked him in gently. Once everything was ready, the vet headed home, and the family finally went to bed. They'd done all they could. Now all they could do was wait and hope Huck would rest well and pull through. Still, they weren't expecting much. When the family tried to get Roxy to go back outside to her crate, she wouldn't budge. She pushed against them, clearly trying to get back inside the house. It was obvious she didn't want to leave Huck alone, so after a bit of resistance, they gave in and let her stay close to him. They didn't know it then, but that one simple choice would soon end up saving Huck's life. Just after midnight, something went wrong. A loud, sharp caw cut through the quiet house, waking no one, except Roxy. The little crow was in trouble, and while the humans were still asleep, his guardian angel was wide awake. Roxy, who had been lying on the floor nearby, jumped up and ran straight to the box where Huck was resting. She found him shivering hard, his tiny body shaking from the cold. He was in pain, and it looked like he might not make it. Most animals wouldn't know what to do, but Roxy did something amazing. Without hesitation, she stepped halfway into the box and gently lay down right next to him. She pressed her warm body close to his, sharing her heat and keeping him alive. When the family heard the noise and rushed downstairs, they were stunned. There was Roxy, curled around the crow, doing her best to protect him from the cold. The family stayed up for the rest of the night, taking turns watching over Huck. Roxy never left his side. By morning, the crow was still weak, but clearly better. He was alert, and his breathing had steadied. Everyone was relieved, and more than a little amazed. When they told the vet what had happened overnight, she wasn't surprised that Roxy had made the difference. Birds that spend too long in freezing rain often don't survive, she said. Hypothermia can set in fast. But somehow this sweet dog had sensed exactly what Huck needed, and she had stepped in just in time. No one had ever trained Roxy for anything like this. She just knew. Her actions were a powerful show of emotional awareness, something not everyone expects from animals, but they should. Roxy had saved a life simply by caring. From that point on, Huck was part of the family. The owners officially adopted him as a pet companion for Roxy, and she couldn't have been happier. She quickly began teaching him how to play, and before long, the two were inseparable. Their favorite game was chasing a ball around the house. Somehow, Roxy had even managed to show Huck how to kick it, and that's what they spent their days doing. Their bond was so special that the owners eventually shared a video online. In the clip, Roxy sits patiently while Huck pecks and pushes a ping-pong ball toward her. It's clear he's trying to get her to play. The video was both funny and heartwarming, and it quickly grabbed people's attention. As more folks saw it, the family started posting updates. In one, Huck sits proudly on Roxy's back. In another, they're playing a silly game of what looks like soccer with the little ball. Together, they made quite the team. When two of the smartest animals in the world form a bond, you never know what magic might happen. Has your dog ever brought home a surprise visitor? What's the strangest thing your pet has found? Share your stories in the comments. If this heartwarming story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a smile today.